Hey there, it's Sunday afternoon, and I just released, well, I released it this morning, the video for the box with box joints, the spalted maple crotch box, and that's doing okay. I don't know how well that'll do. Typically, woodworking projects for me don't do that well, although they do for other people. We'll see. I want to do a lot more though. Doing that was kind of like a warm-up to get into more woodworking type projects. And I'm about to start on another one, although it's more of a utilitarian type thing. I've got a closet in my bedroom that needs like a drawer unit built in, so I was going to make that. And I'll be starting that today after I tidy up my shop a little bit. Also, what I'll be doing with that, I think, is kind of doing a test, I guess, as for setting up a course. It won't be an actual course. It'll be just like, a dry run, except I'll be doing everything. And what I'll be doing is I'll be making those into videos that would be like very much like a course, and I'll be posting those videos on Patreon, and I'll be making the video. It'll just be one video for the whole build for my main channel. I also made this thing yesterday. Not yesterday, I didn't make it yesterday. I released the video yesterday. I think it was yesterday. On my tips and tricks channel, and it did extraordinarily poorly. Like, it was struggling to get like 4,000 views for most of the day, and that channel has nearly 200,000 subscribers. So that's telling me that if you're not, at least semi-regularly putting content on the channel, the people that are subscribed to it drift away, and then YouTube penalizes you in such a way that it doesn't show up in the recommended, because unfortunately, that's the way most people watch YouTube these days. They go to the home page. I guess it goes straight there on the phone, like it defaults to the home page. But there is a subscription tab down at the bottom too. You click that, it'll take you to all your subscriptions. You scroll through that. I'm talking phone here. I only use YouTube on the desktop, and it's only recently that I bothered even looking at it on the phone. And that's what you got to do. Click on that subscription tab before it goes away, because if you don't use these features, these very useful features, YouTube will take them away. Right? They got this funny idea about streamlining things. Eventually, there won't be anything left but garbage. So yeah, I made this, which is just a stock trim saw, flush cut saw. That's what it is. And made the handle for a quick, easy little project. Maybe that's half of it right there. Maybe people saw the thumbnail, saw the title, and said, that looks too easy to watch. So that could be. But that's the kind of video that I would make in the old days, and it would get, I don't know if it would get a lot of views, but it would get, a substantial amount for what I had at the time. I had to change up the view a little bit so you guys wouldn't get too bored. I was experimenting with finishes because I've got all that red oak, and I want to make bedroom furniture with it, except I can't decide. Like, I installed kitchen cabinets for about 2 years, or it was more than a good year anyway. And there were so many of these golden oak cabinets that I got so sick of the color. And they're all made from red oak, and they all have that natural finish. And so I was trying a couple of different things. I went and I bought Danish oil a while ago, and I didn't pay attention, and it's actually a tinted, or it's got stain in it anyway, carbon gray. And I'm the type of person that doesn't like to bring things back. So I was trying to think of something I could use it on. And I tried it on the oak, and here it is right here. This top section right here. This is 2 coats wiped on just with a rag, very thin, and then wiped off. The stuff mainly went into the grain and accentuates that, but it doesn't leave the color very appealing to me anyway. Some people would like it, you know, but it just doesn't look natural to me. Maybe I'm not seeing it in scale. Maybe if the entire piece, since the entire piece of these things that I'll be making will be made entirely from solid wood, except for things like drawer bottoms, maybe if I saw it in, you know, the whole thing, it would appeal to me more, but I'm looking at that now and it's not. It's not doing it for me. Now I tried water-based polyurethane, and I put it right here, and there's no difference. If you want a truly natural finish, water-based polyurethane is the way to go, because it changed nothing about the color. I also used the tung oil that I put on that box, and that's it on this side over here. And here's the, you know, the edge grain, I guess you could say. And then this side over here, just slightly just slightly darker and a little bit more orange, is linseed oil. And neither one of these is appealing to me. So if I'm going to use the oak, I'm either going to go full on natural finish with the water-based product, or I'm going to wind up staining it. And I really didn't want to get into stain, because stain requires a level of sanding precision that these other things don't need, except for, say, this tinted oil here. Any scratches that are in when you put this stuff on will show up, so I have to be a little bit more careful, but stain really shows all that stuff up. So I don't know. Any suggestions, leave them in the comments. Now in that video, I cut the edge of the rough boards. I'm surprised actually I didn't get a comment on the sequence that I did those operations in. Normally when you see somebody handling a chunk of wood like that, the first place they would go to is the jointer to flatten one's face. But I know from experience, especially if you're going to be cutting that thicker slab down into boards, that that's nearly a wasted step. I'd rather take it to the bandsaw and resaw it down to a chunk that's close to the size I need, then resaw that into boards. Once again, everything's still like dead rough, not as rough as the chainsaw was, but you know, rough, and then take the individual boards to the jointer and flatten them, and then run them through the planer, and then edge joint them. I could have jointed on the jointer, but I chose to do it on the table saw, mainly because it's quicker. It's not quicker. You know what it was? It was laziness on my part, because the jointer was already put away at that time. So, and then I had to use a different camera to get down there to film it, because I got these sheets of plywood standing up in the way that are blocking my gantry. It can't travel down there. So the camera is another story. That's another problem I have with that video that I'll get into a bit. Anyway, I had a comment asking me why I use this along with my fence to make those cuts. And what this does is just extends the fence. And it extends the fence to maintain contact with the stock and the fence as much as possible. You know, if the edge of your board is kind of wavy all over the place, when you put it up against something, it's usually going to stay there, because there'll be like 2 points that are contacting. And as much as you can keep that in contact with the fence, then the more straight the cut will be on the other side. Now, my fence is not extraordinarily short, but it's shorter than what you would want for something like that. And I've been thinking about making a thing that fits over this to extend that, a permanent type thing that would hang up, say, underneath there. I could take it down and slip it on top. But then I got to thinking that maybe the better solution is to build a separate fence that locks in the same way as this one does, except it's really long, you know, and it's narrow too. It doesn't have to be as wide as this. It doesn't have to be as perfect as this. It doesn't have to be as heavy as this either. And I could take this one off quickly, because as you can see, that's really quick to do, and put the other one on in its place and make those cuts, which are fairly rare. but then I would have that, I'd probably use it a lot more. But that's the reason why you would want to extend the fence like that. Maintain contact with the stock and the fence as much as you can as you're pushing it through the blade, and you get a cleaner cut. And I just started talking about the problem that I have with the camera when I filmed that box build that caused me nearly a day's extra work when I was editing it. And I was going to explain that, but it sounds boring, so I'm not going to. Anyway, that's it for this one. I've got one other thing to talk about before I go, and that's, it goes back to me putting that project on my Tips and Tricks channel, and it's telling me that, these projects are not going to get views. So I'm thinking that I'm going to stop putting projects or videos on the Tips and Tricks channel unless I can come up with specific tips and tricks videos to put on there. I'm not going to put anything on there, not small projects. And then as for the small projects, they're too small. If I put them on my main channel, they won't do well and they'll drag that down. Every time you put a video on a channel that doesn't get very many views, it seems like it drags it down in the rankings somehow. Now, I can't say if that's, for certain, okay? This is just my observations. Likewise for the home reno channel. I've got some kind of home reno related videos coming up. I'm not going to bother putting them on that channel. I'm going to put them straight to the main channel. Like this project that I'm about to do is for the closet. So normally I would my first preference would be to put it on the home reno channel because it's kind of like that, because it's a built-in. It's not a freestanding piece of furniture. But I'm saying it won't get any views. If I put it on there, it's not going to get any views. So put it on the main channel, and I'm going to, take a wait and see approach to those two channels. This channel here will continue because I really don't put as much effort into the videos that I make for this. They're just quick, I film them, I edit them, I'm done. Like this, you'll be watching this thing in about an hour, or however long it takes me to quickly edit it and upload it. Then you'll be watching it. So that's that. I'm not going to spend, hours and hours and hours on a project and then put it on one of these channels. That's not going to be viewed because the subscribers have either all left or YouTube is saying that I'm not putting enough content on there to, tap them on the shoulder and say, look, what's new from this guy that you subscribe to.
Let me get right to the point. I'm smarter than you. And I'm going to find out what I want to know. And I'm going to get it from you whether you like it or not.
I'm not a rat.